It is finally here, the thing that's got everybody talking this year. Say hello to the ROG Xbox Ally X handheld, the first Xbox branded handheld gaming device made in collaboration with ROG. There has been a lot of hype over this over the last few months, waiting to see how it performs and how well it stacks up amongst the other handhelds on the market. And today is that day, because I have one right here and we're going to be putting it through its paces to answer the question, is this thing any good? Let's dive in. So if you've been around the channel, you might remember that I've done reviews on the original ROG Ally as well as the Ally X in the past. And ever since ROG and Xbox announced this collaboration, I've been really intrigued to see, firstly, how it performs, but also what is different and improved upon from the regular Ally. And when the prices of both the Xbox Ally and Ally X were finally unveiled recently, it certainly turned a few heads. So I'm very interested to give this a go, and I just want to quickly thank Xbox for giving me an opportunity to review this early. This is not a paid or sponsored video, they just provided me with a chance to get hands-on with the device before launch, so a big thank you to them. But anyway, that's enough waffling, let's get this unboxed and see exactly what's inside. The packaging itself is nice and clean and well laid out. Inside we get the device itself, which we'll come onto in a sec, a USB-C charging brick, the power cable, the manuals and information, and as with all ROG Ally devices, if you flip the lid over, there's also a little display stand included as well. So let's take a look at the design of the device. I've always liked the design of the Ally lineup, and this is no exception. For the Ally X here, we have this clean, stealthy all-black design, but if you go for the regular Ally, that one comes in white. We have this nice textured finish on the front, and if you look closely, it's actually tiny letters which say Xbox and ROG, which is a cool little touch. We then have a smooth finish on the grips with some ROG branding on the right, but turning this over on the other side, it's textured, and again, if you look really closely, you'll see this says ROG. Then on the back of the device is a similar design to the other Ally with a vented ROG logo on the back and this nice holographic strip. There's some cooling vents located on the top, as well as front-facing speakers either side of the screen. And I've got to say, overall the design of the device is very clean, although I still haven't decided if I prefer the black or the white. But let me know in the comments which you prefer the look of. In terms of controls, we have a pretty standard layout with the asymmetrical thumbsticks on either side, complete with RGB rings around them of course. Then we have the D-pad on the left and the ABXY buttons on the right, as well as two smaller control buttons on either side of the screen, and this brand new Xbox button on the left as well. Then on the top we have the bumpers and triggers, volume controls, and the power button. Finally on the back are two extra buttons as well. For the grips, well, these have been redesigned completely for the Xbox Ally to look and feel more like an Xbox controller, giving the device a whole new look and feel, and I really like the change. Connectivity wise, on the top of the device we have two USB-C ports, one being USB 4 with DisplayPort 2.1, Power Delivery 3.0 and Thunderbolt 4 compatibility, and the other being USB 3.2. Then there's a 3.5mm combo audio jack for headphones and mic use, and a micro SD card reader slot for extra storage. The device also supports Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.4 connectivity as well. So now for the hardware and specs, and as this is the Ally X, I'll just go through the specs of this device and I'll put the ones up for the regular Ally on screen. So this is powered by an AMD Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme processor with 8 cores and 16 threads, which comes with a dedicated AMD XDNA NPU to enable the latest AI enhanced features and high fidelity visuals. You also get 24 gigs of LPDDR5X 8000 RAM and a 1TB PCIe 4.0 M.2 SSD for fast load times and storage. The screen is a 7-inch Full HD 1920x1080 glossy IPS display with a 16:9 aspect ratio and 120Hz refresh rate. It's made from Gorilla Glass Victus with a scratch-resistant anti-reflective hardening coating. Although, I'll be honest straight away, the anti-reflectiveness of the screen didn't overly impress me. But bear in mind, I am in a room full of bright lights. The screen also supports AMD FreeSync Premium VRR technology to prevent screen tearing. The Ally X packs an 80 Wh battery for those long gaming sessions and a zero gravity dual fan cooling system to prevent thermal throttling. And as mentioned, for those who are interested, this is how the Ally X stacks up against the Ally in terms of hardware. But I guess you guys are here for one thing only, and that's to see how this device handles gaming. I've spent the last few days playing various different games on here, from first-person shooters to story games, racing and more, and my first impressions so far are very positive. The overall gaming experience on the Ally X is very good. Gameplay is actually really nice and smooth. Through various different titles, I found the device to be more than capable of handling everything to a high level. I've played around with a few different graphics settings and modes to see what kind of performance I was able to get in each game, and the Ally X certainly didn't disappoint, but now it's time to turn the FPS counter on and see how it actually does. The first game I always try tends to be Forza Horizon 5. It's just my go-to, it's such a great game, and it's really fun to play on a handheld, by the way. To push things to the max, I turned all of the graphics settings down to the lowest, enabled AMD FSR frame generation, and also set the device to the most powerful turbo mode. With all of that set up, jumping into the game, I was averaging around 100 to 110 FPS, which looked great. The game flowed very nicely, it was fluid and smooth, and a great overall experience. I then tried turning the graphics settings up to high to see what kind of an effect that had on the numbers, and as you can see, they dropped to around 80 FPS, which is still not too bad and a decent trade-off for the better looking graphics. And then, just to satisfy my curiosity, I bumped the graphics up to max, and I was still able to average around 50 FPS, which was actually really impressive from the handheld. Next, it was time to jump into Battlefield 6 and see what kind of performance we could get from a brand new FPS game. Again, I started off with all the graphics settings turned down to the lowest to see what performance we could get, and as you can see, we're averaging around 95 to 100 FPS, which is not bad at all and makes the game easily playable, although my personal performance was questionable regardless. And then cutting straight to it, I bumped the settings right up to overkill and was surprised actually that I was still consistently getting around 50 to 55 FPS. I know that it's not the most graphically intensive game, but it was certainly nice to see good performance at maxed out settings. Next up was good old Cyberpunk, and I swear I only actually play this when I'm benchmarking things. I really need to start playing more. Anyway, again, with the graphics turned down to the lowest, I was averaging around the high 80s to low 90s. And then turning all the graphics up, I was still getting around the high 60s to low 70s, which did surprise me a little given the first result. But the main takeaway for me is that the device can easily handle max graphics and still give a strong 60 FPS plus performance. Next up, I tried some Doom the Dark Ages, which I actually had a brief chance to try on here back at Gamescom a couple of months ago. Back then I thought that the device ran the game nicely, and testing it now with all the graphics settings turned to low, we're getting around 80 to 85 FPS. Turning this up to high, I was still getting a good 65 to 70 FPS consistently. And then maxing out to ultra nightmare mode, I was actually still averaging around 60 FPS, so I'm very impressed with that. At this point, I did quickly want to see how Silksong would perform, and this game doesn't really have any graphic settings to play around with, but we were getting 130 FPS or so throughout. I need to sit and play some more of this because I really haven't had a chance yet. Anyway, next was Clair Obscur Expedition 33, many people's vote for Game of the Year, but sadly it won't be winning Best Performing Game on the Ally. It doesn't actually support AMD FSR like the other games, although it is reportedly coming at some point. With that in mind and the graphics settings turned down, we were getting around mid to high 50s. On high settings around mid to low 40s, and on ultra settings around mid to low 30s. So obviously not as high as the other games, but I will be interested to see how this picks up if and when FSR support is added. Then for the final game, I booted up some F125, and on low settings I was able to get around 100 to 105 FPS consistently. Then after taking a quick break to take out Max Verstappen and then switching up to max graphics, this dropped to around 55 to 60, but certainly still high enough to be playable and very fun. So overall then, the gaming quality on the Xbox Ally X is very good. Across the majority of games, we were seeing FPS counts ranging from around the 80s to over 100 on low settings, and most still maintained around 60 FPS when the graphics were bumped up to max, so not too shabby there at all. It's important to remember though that I was in turbo performance mode for all of these, so this was giving the best performance but also drains the battery faster than the other modes, so it's important to play around and find what setup works best for you. Also, the turbo mode when on battery is limited to 25 watts, but if you plug the device in, this bumps up to 35, so you would be able to get more performance whilst plugged in as you'd expect. But let me know what you guys think about the performance and what other games you'd be interested in seeing tested on here. Now, while we're on the subject of gaming, this is of course an Xbox branded device. And this is where it differs from the other ROG Ally models, as we have a brand new Xbox UI. And so far from all my testing, it's been very handy and easy to navigate. When you boot up the Ally, it will launch into the Xbox full screen experience, which has been purpose built for the device. It runs on Windows 11 but has been modified to minimize background activity and apps so that system resources are saved for getting better quality gaming performance. It also has all of your games from all of your launchers sorted into one simple library for quicker access, along with plenty of different methods for accessing games from native gaming, Xbox Play Anywhere, Remote Play, and cloud gaming. You could swipe up from the bottom of the screen to switch between apps such as Steam, EA, and other launchers quickly and easily as well. Pressing the Xbox button brings up this game bar menu similar to what you get on console, where you can quickly access games and apps, or you can navigate through settings, social features, audio, captures, performance, achievements, and widgets, and also ROG's command center for controlling and customizing your device or launching the full Armoury Crate SE app. It's a simple and intuitive layout and definitely sets this apart from the regular Ally, making navigation not only simple but familiar to Xbox users. But it's important to remember that this is still a Windows device, and if you want to use that rather than the Xbox UI, you can easily switch by swiping up from the bottom of the screen and pressing Windows Desktop. And now you have a more familiar Windows PC layout and access to all the features such as web browsers, Microsoft Office, everything you would have on a desktop. So it really is like having a console and a PC rolled into one. Now, we mentioned the Command Center and Armoury Crate SE, and these are how you can control and customize your Ally to your liking. Either pressing the Xbox button and scrolling across, or the dedicated Command Center button, you can pull up this menu which allows quick settings such as switching operating mode, changing controls, resolution, setting an FPS limiter, or turning on the real-time monitor in either a simple or more detailed display. Or you can launch Armoury Crate SE, which has more detailed and extensive settings to configure your device, from advanced GPU settings to control calibration and even RGB lighting control. It's a very handy and easy to navigate app which gives you the full control to set up your device exactly how you'd like for best performance, ease of use, and personalization. Oh, and just a quick note on the battery, I've been running this in turbo mode pretty much the entire time I've been testing it. So obviously this has been draining the battery the fastest it possibly could. But even in that mode, I've still been able to get at least a good couple of hours of gaming in before having to put it back on charge. And it's actually surprised me how much gaming I've been able to do between charges, so fair play to them, they have definitely optimized this quite well. So overall then, is the ROG Xbox Ally X worth picking up? Well, I'm certainly enjoying gaming on here a lot. We've seen the improvements to the performance in games, and this has been consistent across the board, with the device able to handle lower end graphics with a great FPS performance, and maintains a lot of that when switching up to higher and even maxed out graphics. The addition of the Xbox UI has vastly improved the navigation of the device, giving it a more intuitive and familiar feeling and a much more pleasant experience overall. I really like the updated grips that feel much more natural and controller-like, as you would expect, and gives you a more natural and controlled grip and feel when playing, which again enhances the overall experience. And then we come on to the price tag. When it was announced that this was £799, a lot of people were shocked at the high price, and I'll admit I was too initially. Until I thought about it, and well, that's the same price as the existing ROG Ally X, but with all of those features and enhancements that we've just talked about added in. So actually that makes this price-wise not too bad at all. Sure, there are things I'd like to see, an OLED screen for one, but it's not a deal breaker, and I would personally get one of these to play on the go. But of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think about both the Xbox Ally X and the regular Ally now that the reviews are out for that too. Did it perform better than you expected? Worse? Are there any other games you want to see tested? Let me know. And if you enjoyed today's video, then please drop a like to show the algorithm, and don't forget to sub to the channel for more content like this. Thanks again to Xbox for allowing me to get hands-on with this early. I'll be back with another video soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.